Ooh, why is it okay to make fun of white people? Now, before I get into this, a couple of things. Am I going to say some very base pro-white things? Yes, I am. But before I get into that, I have deemed it a highly necessary prerequisite to make fun of the wokies. Why? Because I can. I am the spoon of smarts, the cutlery of common sense, and I am definitely not drunk. But anyway, the line between making fun and insulting white people is very, very thin. Dental floss thin, in fact. And we all know why. It's not rocket science. It is because of this stupid white privilege nonsense that's been peddled to these idiots. They've been given the green light by the machine as a protected class to spew vile anti-white rhetoric. Funny they think whites have privilege, but you can say whatever the hell you want about white people without any social repercussions whatsoever. And so you can in some sense consider that kind of a privilege. Mind you, I can also spin it in another way later on in this video. But it's a convenient scapegoat to say all of your failures are because of one group of people. Why does that sound familiar to me? Oh well, it's probably not that important. But anyway, the reason why us good white people get so much hassle is because we're better than everybody else. No one puts white people on a pedestal more than non-whites. And if anyone is shocked by that, I don't know why you would be. These idiots claim we have some kind of a privilege. You are automatically putting us on a pedestal with that statement. I don't know how else you see that. And the reason why it doesn't gel is because the pedestal is entirely artificial. It's not connected to the real world in any way, which is why these anti-white people just come across incredibly racist. It's loaded with animosity. I mean, these are the same people who talk about inclusivity and cultural diversity, which is funny because cultures are not equal. Even you're admitting this, lefties, which is why you keep pushing for the equality part, which is left to speak for everyone must think the same way. They never quite explain that bit now, do they? If you took the phrase literally, as well you should, you will realize that diversity of cultures also produces a diversity of results. Funny how that works. You can get a whole bunch of the multi-melanated to think the exact same thing, aka the bullshit progressive worldview, and that's touted as cultural diversity. But if you get a whole bunch of disparate people all around the world to at least all agree that the progressive worldview is total bullshit, then all of a sudden they're all getting umbrellaed under the term white supremacy. What the fuck? It's such rubbish. Is every white person successful by virtue of their skin color? No, that is absurd and stupid. Are there any non-whites who are hyper-successful? Yes. Interesting. Is there any overlap then, perhaps, of behavior and characteristics of the hyper-successful people, both white and non-white? Undoubtedly. So funny enough, cultural diversity is not race-based. Successful behavior characteristics can be adopted by any human. Shocking, I know. The white privilege thing is so funny to me. Oh yeah, white privilege is real. It's totally a thing, yeah. Tell me, are there any non-whites who are successful? Yes. Okay, so how did they become successful then? Is it that white privilege is a total fictional entity living in your hollowed out fucking head? Or are these people so badass for overcoming this unholy monolith you speak of? Care to pick one? No, clearly not, because I can see smoke coming out of your ears. Again, it's amazing to me how this worldview has any foothold in Western society because sweet zombie Moses is it utterly incoherent and mind-numbingly easy to debunk. But you know why white people are looked at as the best by everyone? Because funnily enough, if you spend centuries as the pioneers of morality and good character and base your societies around this, you tend to produce a reputation for being noble, well-spoken, socially aware, and not being prone to violent crime. Again, shocking. Now, the reason I bring all this crap up is because this is the fuel that powers this piss-poor excuse for commentary and comedy, if that word is even adequate for what they do. But if we can brush the obvious destabilization of society aside for a moment, if we can, why this doesn't bother white people is because it's not really funny. The basis for comedy is to take something based on truth and then to exaggerate it. So if your premise isn't truthful but rather already false bollocks before you try and stretch it, it doesn't work, it just makes you look like an arsehole, which is why they have no sense of humor. This is why the Babylon Bee has trouble satirizing the wokies, because their own default behavior is already the walking fucking caricature. Or, as I've alluded to before, the ability to say something without any repercussions can be seen to some as a privilege. It can also be seen as a giant glaring weakness on two fronts. If non-whites can say whatever the hell they want about white people and no one comes to our aid, it's because white people are the Ubermensch. We are tough sons of bitches who can withstand all the slings and arrows fired our way. But if we pipe up and say what we want and all of society has to come to your defense, that's because society thinks you're a little bitch. Also, it makes our critique or jokes look significantly stronger and weightier because all of society is being marshaled to come to your defense. This is why we don't get mad. I mean, certainly I don't. Hell, it just makes me want to get really condescending. I think, nah, that's adorable. Tell me, where are you from? Oh, you're not from this continent. So you escaped your shithole country using our technology to come to our lands, speak our language, and here you are bitching about our society. That's very cute. Run along now, little one. And if you're going to group all the white people and target us with the original sin shtick, you better brace yourself for an onslaught, because we can simply say, we colonized and own you, and you are done. That is our trump card, and there is nothing you can say that is going to beat that. Where it does get funny, because it's completely absurd and makes no sense whatsoever, is when it comes to race and commentary. Class and wealth privilege goes out the fucking window. It is nowhere to be found. Any white person, for example, can come out and accuse LeBron James of being a Chinese simp, a disconnected, out-of-touch elitist, someone who should shut the fuck up and drivel because he's an idiot who doesn't know anything about the real world, all true, by the way, and someone will accuse that white guy of racism and white privilege. The guy's net worth is over $600 million. What the fuck are you smoking? But I've been thinking, aside from that, white-on-white jokes land all that well. Because of all the things people mock white people for, they're just kind of silly. We don't have any socially debilitating habits. It's innocuous things, like we can't dance or we speak English properly. I don't know why that is one. Or that we don't season food properly. That is one that I've heard a lot from Americans. And you know, as a South African, that blew my mind. Because if we look at our food culture back home, we have biltong, boerewors, braaivleis, potjiekos, samosas, curries. Yes, the South African accent is coming through. So to hear that made me think, what the fuck is wrong with the Americans? What kind of white people do you have over there? But from this perspective, it does lack a certain sense of resonance, because there's no such thing as white culture. There's definitely some white traits, but there's no universal white culture. I'd say the most popular thing you can currently mock white people for is this pathetic, condescending attitude of the woke ideology. You know, the white guilt or the white saviorism, all that shit. But that's a liberal quality. It's not a white culture. But I was thinking about this from an American versus European perspective. Because if you want to parody Europeans, you don't parody a white culture. You parody the habits and ways of the different nationalities in the region. Because, believe it or not, white people are actually quite diverse. Oh, that's another one I've heard as well, that white people have no culture. Anyone who says that, I immediately dismiss him as an idiot. Hell, we were kicking the shit out of each other for the first half in the last century in 2 world wars. We speak a variety of different bloody languages. The idea that we could all somehow get along on similar melanin count is a worldview so ignorant you should feel ashamed for saying something so dumb out loud. But here's the thing as well. There is an overlap with this with the Americas as well, because despite the language barrier being gone, because, you know, they all speak English, there is also regional quirks. Because if you take someone from, say, California, Texas, New York, and Massachusetts, and you scramble them around, people would know they aren't native to the region. If you make fun of white Americans if you're a foreigner, you do so by region. If you make fun of other races, you can do so by culture of that race alone. Tell me I'm wrong. Because other races have a universal culture that white people do not. And the thing is, I know non-whites in America who get really pissed off at their own race getting upset at white people making certain jokes when they also make those same jokes. Because they think, correctly, that it makes their own race look really sensitive and stupid because they're getting upset at the same damn thing that otherwise would make them laugh. Makes no sense, it does. But anyway, that is all for today, and I will see you all next time.